I have plenty of time and I have plenty of money, and we are going to court, and I'm bored.
Yeah.
Like, I have a tremendous ego, and the idea that you stole money from me will keep me up at night.
Yeah.
Some people are like, oh, no, it's a $3,000 write-off. I'm like, no, it's not. That little has my money. I'm going to murder him. Boom, watch fan.
Okay, check, 1, 2. Good to go?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
What is up, Watch fam? My name is Michael. I am certainly not the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop.
That's because I wouldn't allow you to be, because I am the curator.
Yeah.
I am the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop. I just took my watch off, but I was wearing a Tudor. This is a lovely watch.
That is a lovely watch.
This is like as close as you can get to the original Rolex Explorers, the Sir Edmund Hillary Rolex Explorers.
Blue Steel seconds hand.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Which, by the way, great story. Like in marketing, like the Explorer didn't exist. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay went to the top of Everest with a Rolex Explorer and a Smiths, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
With
Smiths.
with a Rolex OP, Oyster Perpetual. And when they came back down and they succeeded, Rolex said, "Let's figure out a watch." And within a couple of months, they had the Rolex Explorer.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So the original watches were not Explorers; they were just.
You went with OP, yeah.
So anyway, this is a Tudor. It's an incredible watch. It is available in the Theo and Harris Watch Shop. I have seen 3 of these in 6 years of buying watches. This is one of them. If you like history, if you like exploring, this is an unbelievable watch, and I cannot state that enough. Agreed. So you're wearing Datejust?
I'm wearing my Rolex Datejust, yes, sir.
Love to see it.
Yes.
Beautiful watch.
Thank you.
Great. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. News, obviously. Talk about... we're doing a 2-part series about stolen watches.
Yes.
And particularly Rolex, right? That's your story. So we're going to end this conversation with a story about your stolen watch.
Indeed.
We're going to start off with why this even came up. It was a woman that was running a scam in the UK. Then just other stuff, just how common it is people steal watches, and particularly Rolex, right? And it's a real shame because people don't even understand. When you steal another sort of watch, like let's say a high complicated watch, it's almost impossible to fence it, right?
Yeah, right.
But you steal a Rolex and you can sell it. Like, it's unfortunate, but you might get caught, but it's also possible you won't. Yeah, and that's a real shame. I've gotten burnt on. I've bought stolen watches in the past by accident. It's almost impossible to know in the beginning.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes you get burnt. The important thing is you got to take care of the situation, of course. But all right, let's get into this UK thing. So what the was happening?
Basically, it's a simple trick. This lady would come up to these people with nice watches, typically men, and say, "Hey, will you sign this petition for me?" And the guys would say, "Sure." And then at the end, she'd do one of these. Not this, but one of these. And then as the guys would leave, watches would be gone. She did it twice.
You like to think that you're not the idiot that would be so stupid to get their watch stolen like that.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you would do.
Mine would be way easier, just like
I know, but wouldn't you hear it?
You feel like you would.
You feel like you would. Clearly, we wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
It's magic. That's why it's called magic.
Yeah, right.
like it's you don't get how it's done.
The best part too is she definitely that David Blaine look. She steals their watches, and as they're walking away, she's like,
"Yeah, hey, let me try to steal your watch." Yeah. But be fair, because now you know I'm going to do it. So try to erase your memory.
Okay, hold on.
All right, ready?
Yep. Hey, how you doing?
Give me your fucking watch. That's the best I got.
Well, the problem is no one shakes with their left hand.
Or you could steal the watch like the Brooklyn way. Yo, give me that fucking shit.
Yeah, you put a gun to someone's head.
Give me your fucking watch.
Oh, okay, here you go.
See? Look, David Blaine. Mine
of David Blaine!
Okay, first of all, before we get into your story, there were a lot of things like this. Like there were the escorts, hookers, whatever that were doing this. Like they were, I think they still do it. Basically, it's a pretty old reliable move. Like they go back to like a guy's or whatever hotel room and they give them drugs or whatever, and then you just get knocked out.
Yeah,
I believe that Cardi B brags about that she did
does.
This.
Yeah, she does. So, I've gotten 2 things stolen. One, I'll just say it's a super quick story right now because I was too ignorant for a while to accept that it got stolen.
Yeah.
But I had a pair of sunglasses. I left them on a table at my school and walked away. Gone. And I was like, oh, I lost my sunglasses.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, I was like, I didn't lose my sunglasses. Someone stole them. And I know who stole them. Mitch. The next day, I was just looking at him and I was like, you did it. Don't know why. I was
you had the feeling.
I was like, it's you. Yeah.
Intuition.
Yeah. My spidey senses
better
went up.
than tuition. Rolls-Royce has a, what, $37 million convertible, apparently.
Yes.
When I first heard the news, it was $22 million. So I don't know how apparently it's gotten more expensive since it was released.
Wow.
Like the boat, it's like a crazy thing. I believe Jay-Z and Beyonce bought one.
Yep.
Crazy.
Look at that umbrella seating like that.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Nuts. It's a nuts car. $37 million. I believe Jay-Z and Beyonce bought one, and the dashboard clock inside the car is by, I think, Bovet. Bovet.
Okay, gotcha.
So I think it's I don't find it to be very pretty.
I don't either.
I would have preferred, a Casio or something.
Same.
It would have been ironic. So I don't love that. But this is a thing. Now this brings up the topic of, car brands have put like luxury watch companies in their cars. Mm-hmm. Mercedes, I believe, in some of their S classes does IWC.
Yep.
My problem with this, and I could be speaking a little out of school here, so please educate me if I am. But okay, so there are other brands inside cars, right? Mm-hmm. I think Mercedes uses Harman Kardon, whatever. Everyone's gonna hate me for that.
Yeah.
Whatever. They speaker system, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that isn't a branding opportunity. It's their actual speaker system.
Right.
Like they're better speakers. Mm-hmm. Right. Mercedes could, in theory, white label just buy it and label it Mercedes, whatever, but they don't. They use the names.
It's a selling point too.
Selling point.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes to like IWC in the car, to my understanding, it's not actually an IWC clock. Like it's not to the level that you would expect an IW. It's not a mechanical thing.
It's more the name.
It's just the name.
Yeah.
And I don't even really think it's style because they're pretty minimalist. They're pretty nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. Mm-hmm. I always thought that was kind of like cheap.
Yeah.
I would love to see a watch manufacturer actually integrate like a real design into a car. That would be cool.
Do you know what that does?
What?
You could take the clocks out and wear them as timepieces.
You can wear this as a watch?
Yes, keep going.
But what an ugly watch.
That's my thing. It looks horrible.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I would never wear that as a watch.
It's horrible.
If there was like an actual beautiful watch head there that you could pop out, like I'm picturing this is from that shot of it, it's like an umbrella you're sitting out. I'm picturing you pull up to this like beautiful beach at sunset and like go for a walk, but you take your watches out and like strap them on your wrist, but not those ugly watches.
Yeah, this is hard. Plus it has the Rolls-Royce like Spirit of Ecstasy thing there.
Yeah.
Very, very gaudy, very trashy. And Jay-Z will love it, I'm sure.
So I like that concept, but not the execution at all. It's like Drake's new Rolls-Royce. I think it looks horrible.
Did he get a crazy Rolls-Royce?
It's like all the leather's
Everyone's
quilted.
got a Rolls now, man.
Dude, where's
Rolls
ours?
are so passé.
Oh, never mind. That's why we don't have one.
I should get the Cullinan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty wild. I don't know. I'm not a Rolls-Royce guy. It's just it's so ostentatious.
Yeah.
It's so far beyond.
It's old money ostentatious. Like I want my watch engraved every single.
But I would almost prefer to have like an old money Rolls-Royce. Like I would love
an
a Corniche.
old money Rolls-Royce. Yeah,
the Corniche. Mm-hmm. I love these. Like these are beautiful convertibles. Look how cool that is.
That car is so big. If you drive past someone, it's like 12 minutes until they see your tail.
Yeah, exactly. It's a boat.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
That's cool.
Do you guys like vintage Rolls-Royce cars? If so, comment down below. Next topic is Singer dials.
Yes.
So this is a really interesting subject. So Singer was a dial manufacturer. They made dials for many brands, Rolex among them. Mm-hmm. Not exclusively, but Rolex was among them.
Yep.
Singer made some of the coolest Rolex dials.
Indeed.
Rolex made Paul Newman Daytona dials. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. Now, in the world of vintage Rolex, many of you guys are familiar. If you're familiar with that world, that little details matter,
yes,
right? And I 100%. Think sometimes they matter even too much, right? I think that there are certain things that are scalable and certain things that aren't. Mm-hmm. I think that exotic dials, Paul Newman dials, are different enough to matter. Yeah. They're different enough that most people would care. The normal guy would and could care.
Yeah.
It's just cool looking.
Yeah.
But when you get into minutia, when you get into really, really fine print, and that could be a different style logo, or that could be, an exclamation, whatever it is, these little details, the average person has no clue of the significance, you lose me. Right? Mm-hmm. Those markets are just, they're not as secure.
Yeah, right.
They're not as secure. I think those are the first markets to crash. If there was a crash in the vintage Rolex world, those are the markets
it's that tiny little, like, oh, you didn't see this, but like that's why it's worth 3 to 4 times like what you normally pay.
Exactly. And in a hot market, that's great, but in a cold market,
that's euphoria levels, basically.
Yes. Now, Now this is not necessarily agreed upon by all vintage watch people. This space is hotly debated.
This is scandalous.
I know people that say that what we're about to talk about is a outright scam.
Yes.
I'm not taking a position.
Nope.
Because I legitimately don't know enough. Right. Yep. I will tell you what it is, and I will tell you both ways to look at it. But here we go.
Okay.
So it's being promoted by Rolex Passion Report, which is an online watch publication. Not really a publication. It's more of like a organized forum, basically.
Okay, sure.
They do research. They do some interesting stuff. Whatever. And they are now promoting. They have been for a little while, but now they're putting even more energy behind promoting these quote unquote prototype dials that Singer manufactured and proposed to Rolex, but maybe were too daring, and Rolex did not say yes.
Got it.
Now, if you look at these dials, they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not patina. That's the color of the dial.
Right.
Look at these dials.
The blank chronograph is a totally different mood.
Totally different mood. Look at all this stuff.
And the blue matte textured ones are insane.
Even look at that. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
It's really weird to see a chronograph that simple just like being utilized or like used. Right. Because I doubt anyone ever really looks at the tiny indices just because it's way too precise for what you're using a watch for.
Right. So these are out there in some of these vintage Rolex collecting communities. Some people swear that they are real, and some people laugh at that, that idea. Right. So Here are kind of the facts, the reasons why they are looked at as real, right? The folks that say that these are genuine dials say, well, they are genuine Singer dials. The actual material, the actual prints, they are correct. To which the dissenters say, well, I'm not necessarily saying the actual dial isn't real. I'm saying it's quite likely that this has been reprinted. Right?
Okay. Yep.
Further, would it be that difficult to make the dial itself? Even if you forget about the paint, would it be that difficult to make the physical dial and restamp it Singer? Right? Okay, so it's a question. Further, you say, well, is there enough money in it for the people that are promoting it to lie? Is it worth it?
Right.
And the answer is yes. Of course it is worth it. Now, just because it is worth it to lie does not mean that they are lying, right? But you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars here. I'm sure that some of these watches, right? Let's say the premium because of that color over what it would be if it was just black.
Yep.
I mean, that could be $1 million.
Right.
So is it worth it? Is it worth it to make the dial? Of course.
Yeah.
And there are folks in the world, you ask, okay, well, what about the capabilities, right? There are folks in the world who I've talked to and who are nice people that make dials professionally.
Yeah.
Now, there are a million people that make aftermarket dials,
yeah.
but there are people that make remarkable dials. And if you're dealing with it as an aftermarket dial, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, right? It's great. But if you are now making the dial and then passing it off as original, that's bad news bears.
Right.
So this is just a thing going on in the Rolex world, and I wanted you guys to be aware of. Would I buy one? No, I would not. I would not buy one. I wouldn't. Maybe I'm just a scaredy cat. But that doesn't mean that they're not real. But it's very interesting. It's very expensive, and I think that as technology gets better, right, and as all these capabilities for printing dials and manufacturing things and cases and all this stuff, the super high end vintage world is going to get more difficult.
Yeah,
it just is. That's why some people only buy these super important watches, from original owners, and then even then, an original owner. I mean, again, anything can be manufactured, right? It's very, very difficult. So I think it's just an interesting conversation. It's scary. It's a scary thing.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Koch brothers and their wine bottles.
Yeah, a lot
of their big notable bottles.
Because their bottles, if you guys ever saw the Netflix documentary called Sour Grapes, the Koch brothers ultimately, I don't think they bought wine directly from Rudy Kurniawan, but they were buying wine from auctions, whatever, that started with this guy Rudy Kurniawan, who was manufacturing fake wine, or he was the representative in America for this international, multinational, fake
massive
wine, distribution center. But they figured out the wine was fake because of the glue. Because the wine was supposed to be, I believe, Thomas Jefferson's wine. And the glue, the adhesive used on the label, wasn't invented until like 130 years later. Dialing back into more, secure, vintage, because vintage world is while scary and the crazy ends, it's still a remarkable world that's absolutely worth your time. So let's take a look at two pieces that are available in the Theo and Harris Watch Shop right now. I think that, these two pieces together are kind of like that perfect two-watch collection. Not that I'm saying you should or would buy both, but they represent, I think, that perfect middle ground.
Yeah.
I like pairing fine watches with suede straps, casual straps. I think it makes them very wearable. You can wear this vintage IWC, which is cased in 14-karat yellow gold, with a sweater, with a t-shirt. You can make it kind of casual with a leather strap.
Yeah, you really
can.
Now,
of course, you can do alligator, and you can make it super formal and all that stuff. But I love these watches. And IWC really represents one of the few brands that still represents value in the vintage watch world.
Yes.
You can have this watch for well under $4,000, and quality-wise, it packs the punch that you would expect to find in the $7,000 to $10,000 range from brands like Vacheron or Patek or whatever it might be. IWC did not go on to produce the heights that Vacheron and Patek did.
Of course,
but on the Calatrava level, on the time-only level, these watches are very comparable, and I think this is a tremendous buy. Now, this is the exact opposite, right? Yeah. This is a Tudor Submariner, reference 94110, 1975. This is about as good as subs get at the price point, or even significantly above.
I would agree.
I mean, everything about that watch is lovely. The way that the dial has aged is fantastic. You've got this matte dial with the custard tritium plots. Obviously, the plots are square because it's Tudor and not Rolex. Even the way the original date wheel has aged is lovely. Everything about this watch is prime. You could get a Rolex Submariner around this price, of course, but a Rolex Submariner with these traits, with the tritium, with the matte dial, would run you over double. You're paying a lot more money to get the Rolex comp here.
Yep.
And the quality is equal.
Okay, so the story of my Rolex getting stolen, it's not sad anymore. At the time, I was devastated because I was flipping watches to make my feature film.
Yep.
This was the first Rolex that I was buying while I was flipping. Started with cheap Omegas, finally got to a Rolex, but still even then, it was a cheap Rolex. It was like $1,000. And it was 34 millimeters. Wow, the dial was turning green.
Oh, okay.
And the hands were like leaf hands. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. So, really, really distinctive watch. You could not, you don't have to be an expert to say that's that watch.
Yep.
Because there's only one that looks like that. So I finally get it. I'm super excited. I had a super tough time selling it, as in I didn't want to sell it. I was wearing it in class, being like, wow, that's so cool. Yeah. Then I get a message from a guy 5 minutes after I post it. Then I sent the watch out, done, and immediately got a claim from PayPal saying it was not as described or something like that. And I'm sure you're aware, PayPal basically always sides with the buyer. So the money got pulled out of my account instantly. Couldn't find the guy's information, really had nothing on him. His Reddit account where I actually sold it was gone. And I was like, damn. But the weirdest part is I am obviously big on jackets and denim and all this stuff. Talking to this guy that owns a company that I really like. And I'm looking at his Instagram, looking through everything, and then I see in one picture, he takes a picture of that watch, of the watch on his wrist. And I look at the time, it was after I sold it, and I was like, oh my God.
Was he the guy?
Yeah. So I DM'd him on Instagram. I was like, that's my watch. You stole that watch. And he didn't say anything. Emailed him, didn't say anything. And then I commented on one of the posts, you stole my watch. That watch that you're wearing, you can't see it in this picture. You stole that Rolex. And immediately, came back in the mail, not a word.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Holy that is how much time had passed?
Oh my God, 6 months. It
was my God.
I wrote it off. I was like, it's gone. And I saw it. Just posted, just casually there, new watch.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And he ultimately gave it back to you. Not because it was a moral dilemma. He just said, I'm going to get caught. Is he going to blow up?
I could have taken down his brand. Just everything. You stole my watch. You stole my watch. I had all the pictures, everything.
Wow. That is insane.
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about legal action.
What a scumbag. PayPal and all these different payment processes are very interesting. I mean, really, everyone says PayPal always sides with the seller. Everyone says PayPal sides with the buyer. It's always people generalize, and I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
The trick to win a PayPal dispute is to be right, whether you're the buyer or the seller, right? And what happens is a lot of people tend to either you're not reading fine print or you're not really being careful. It's PayPal, so it seems very socially constructed, but it's very similar to court. That's it. If you ever get your money stolen through PayPal, just make sure that all of your ducks are in order, all of your evidence is there. Make sure that you are calling incessantly, and make sure that you're really putting together your case. People think that the word I think it's called a case in PayPal.
Yeah.
People treat it I'm just going to talk about my problem. No. present your case. Now, obviously, you got your thing settled the other way. I'm just using this as an opportunity to tell people. I mean, just be very careful. And I'll tell my story later, but being in business and interacting with so many people, I hate to be a total cynic, but you really realize just how little, or how shitty people are, right? How little is standing between someone and robbing you. Nothing really is protecting you. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. That's why when people sometimes, they're like, let's say they're going to send me a watch, whatever, and they're like, well, how do I know you're going to pay me? I'm like, I mean, you don't know I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you. Like, I gave you my word. They're like, well, can you sign something? I'm like, sure. Yeah. I can sign. It doesn't mean anything.
Really change it.
It doesn't mean I could sign it and then steal it. You know? I mean, like, are you familiar with how things work? Like, it's just social. You have to deal with people you trust. That's it. Yeah. Because if someone wants to screw you, that's it.
Easy.
It's over. Yeah. It's crazy. So, good story. I'll tell my story on the next episode. Subscribe right now for part 2. Subscribe to the channel if you love watches, if you want to see part 2, because my story's coming up, and I got robbed by a 14-year-old. So, and by the way, and I've gotten robbed many times. This is just one of the stories. We're going to continue to do this. Yeah. Because I got stories.
Christian gets robbed every day.
And I always win. Yeah. Always win. Because I go to court. Yeah. I have plenty of time, and I have plenty of money, and we are going to court, and I'm bored. Yeah. Like, I have a tremendous ego, and the idea that you stole money from me will keep me up at night. Yeah. Some people are like, oh no, fuck it, it's a $3,000 write-off. I'm like, no, it's not. That little has my money. I'm gonna murder him. Yeah. Subscribe to the next part. Yes.